Actually, we went from that photo that we have of us going off to camp. We ended up in Minidoka, the family minus my father, who was imprisoned at another camp. But my two brothers and sister, mother, and I were put into Minidoka in Idaho, and we were there for quite a while. My brother decided that it probably would be helpful if he joined the Army, so that my father would be looked upon as in a more favorable light. So he joined the Army, and then my other brother and sister both decided that they would go off to college. They were allowed to leave camp to go to college. So they went off to college, and my mother was very upset because she said that her adult children were leaving her with me, a 9-year-old, alone in the camp, and she was very, very upset about that. My father, he had an amazing relationship with his boss at the immigration department in Seattle. I saw letters written by his boss talking about how faithful he was, what a good worker he was, trying to help him get out of the camp, which did not do much good, but it did show that he was very well liked and respected by the people in the camp. From there, in Minidoka, after 11 months or so, we were sent to Crystal City, Texas, which was a family camp for people who were interned, like my father. So we finally, after a year or so, we ended up with my father at Crystal City. And because my father was one of the few Iseis who spoke English fluently, he was involved a lot in being an interpreter for the camp people who didn't speak English quite well, and working with the administration in terms of a lot of different camp activities. So he was a very busy guy. After the war, even before the war, he got out of the camp. And so we were able to leave Crystal City and go off to Cincinnati, where my oldest brother and sister had gone off to go to college. So we went to Cincinnati and left camp at that point, even before the war was over. The government would not allow him to get his old job back just because of the circumstances of the war and so forth. The use of 9066 during the war shows what happens during the time of war because of the various feelings that people have about each other. And so I think that it is unfortunate that such things do occur during that kind of time period. After all, my brother was in the Army, the U.S. Army. My other brother and sister were in college in an American school. We were all Americans without a doubt. We were all Americans, born and raised here, and so forth. So to think that an executive order to imprison people just simply because of their racial background or ethnic background does not make any sense.